Hi, I'm Joel Persinger from Practical Defense Systems. I've got a little discussion for you on laser sights on your carry gun. Whether it's your duty pistol or it's something you're carrying concealed, doesn't matter. And if you have a gun for home defense, it's going to apply there too, but this is more geared toward carry for what I'm discussing here. Laser sights are kind of one of those things that people want to debate a lot. So there are some negatives to them potentially. I will explain those at the end, and maybe we can dispel those concerns. I don't know. But I will tell you that I have laser sights and sometimes laser sights with weapons lights on all of my carry pistols, and my wife does as well. This, by the way, is my wife's gun. This is her M&P 9mm, and you'll notice if I turn it on, she has a red laser and a weapons light on it. And this one happens to be from Crimson Trace. We really like the Crimson Trace products, and so I will put a link to them in the description. I've also done some other videos on weapons lights and on lasers. They're on the GunGuyTV channel, so I will put links there if I can find them, and that way you can watch those too if you wish. All right, here's the deal with these. There's a whole bunch of reasons. I've trained thousands of security guards on the range and a whole lot, thousands of concealed carry permit holders here in the state of California. And I've discovered some commonality there. One is that they don't practice as much as I'd like them to. And so every little bit that helps them win the fight is going to be positive. Yes, I know we shouldn't depend upon battery-operated technology, but at the same time, if that technology helps you get on target and stay on target and win the fight, then it's worth looking at. And that's one of the reasons why the military uses lasers. It's one of the reasons why we use battery-operated illuminated optics, whether that's a red dot or a hollow sight or an illuminated scope. We use these things because technology allows us to have a better system to sight in on the target. And as long as our shooting fundamentals are good, our grip, our trigger press, and so on, then we're going to hit the target. Obviously, if your trigger press is terrible and you jerk the gun all over the place every time you press the trigger, then no matter what you use to get the sights on target, your aiming, however you do it, is useless because you're going to miss. So you have to have the fundamentals. But once you have those, this thing is going to give you some additional pluses that you wouldn't have without it. So let me give you those. One is, if you're older like me, I'm a senior citizen, and my eyes are not what they used to be, you may not be able to see the pistol sights as clearly as you once did, and that's the case with me. So particularly at night, by the way, even if you have night sights, my night vision is not what it used to be, but the laser I can see clear as day. So if I can't see my sights for some reason, maybe eyes aren't very good, or it's at night and my night vision isn't very good, then that laser is going to allow me to see the dot on the bad guy, and I'm going to be able to put the rounds where they belong. So that's one big positive where that's concerned. Now, some people will put an optic on their gun to do that, a little red dot or something, and they'll use that. That's a great system as well, as long as you have backup irons that you can use in case that system fails. I've actually had students come on the range to qualify and had the battery die on their optic right there in their qualification. And if it's going to die anytime, qualification is a better time than when you're in a gunfight, because they don't keep track of the batteries. So it's important to have those backup irons, change those batteries often. All right, here's some other things about a weapons-mounted laser. If you have to shoot from some weird position, in other words, you've gone to cover, and maybe you're behind a piece of cover, maybe that's a big concrete trash can type of thing in the middle of a mall, and you're trying to deal with a bad guy in a mall. You're hiding behind that limited cover, and you can see around it, but you don't want to extend your whole noggin out from behind the cover because you don't want to expose it to getting shot. So you can look and then reach around the other side. Maybe you can peek through, reach around the other side, and you can use the laser to get on target, and you can still shoot. And I demonstrated this on the range. I've actually demonstrated it a number of times on videos, but I demonstrated it on the range with this gun the other day. And you can see that even though I'm standing in one lane where I cannot see the pistol at all in the other lane, I was still able to get every round on target where I needed it to be, because all I had to do was keep the dot where it was supposed to be, and again, mind my fundamentals, make sure that I had a good solid grip, press the trigger in such a way that I don't jerk it all over the place. The rounds are going to hit where they belong. Now that applies to whatever kind of cover it is, no matter where you are, whether that's behind the wheel well of a car, behind the engine block trying to shoot around that, whether that's shooting over the top of a short block wall while you're kind of laying there and you can peek around the corner. You can imagine a whole lot of applications for that. I actually set up a bunch of chairs in my backyard on one video that I'll link in here to demonstrate what it would be like if you were in a crowded theater and you had to duck behind the chairs and shoot over the top of the chairs or in between a chair while you're peeking over here. This allows you an ability of basically to kind of shoot around corners, I guess. You wouldn't be able to do it otherwise. The other thing is you've probably seen in the old movies where they draw and they shoot from here. That works really well super close up. That's an element of point shooting, and if you're super close, it works brilliantly if you practice it. But as you get farther out, it starts to fall apart because you're not behind the sights and you really don't have the gun aimed very well. Now, the odd exception will be able to get it done really, really well, and I'm that odd exception. I can actually do that out to about 7 yards and keep them all on a target like this. But that's because I do it all the time and I practice it all the time. One of the ubiquitous facts about concealed carry holders and security guards is they don't shoot as much as they should, and so they don't get the practice most of the time. Some do, but they're the rarity. And so if that's you, then putting a laser on your gun, if you have to draw and shoot really quick, that's going to help you with your point shooting because with point shooting, you're not focused on the front sights, you're focused on the target. Well, if you're looking at the target anyway, and now there's a red dot there and your fundamentals are good, you can press a trigger, you're going to hit the target because you're on target. Not only does that help you with your point shooting, but it also helps you extend the range at which your point shooting is functional. Because now, if that red dot is on the target at 15 yards, you're going to hit it. If it's on the target at 20 yards and you mind your trigger press, you're going to hit it even if you're shooting from here or here or here or here or here. It doesn't matter. So there's a lot of positives to lasers. I mentioned that I would deal with some of the negatives. All right, people will say that a laser will give away your position. Yeah, but if you're in a war zone or you're a sniper or you're trying to hide in the bushes and shoot people from where they can't see you or something, yeah, okay, I guess or you're in it's foggy night and you're worried about that. I guess that's true, sure, but I think in the overwhelming majority of situations that guards and civilians get in, it's a nonsensical argument. Most of these contests happen within relatively short distances, and you can see the bad guy and he or she can see you. Okay, so you know where each other are anyway, and if they're not banging away at you already, why are you shooting at them? So this is a self-defense situation where you're being threatened. You want to make sure that you avail yourself of every technologically available tool that can be easily and quickly used that is going to help you win that fight, and lasers, in my opinion, are one of them. Now, people will say, yeah, but the batteries fail. True, change the battery about every 3 months and you'll never have that problem. I change the battery on all of my guns about every 3 to 4 months. I've never had one fail on the range or anywhere else. They run all the time because the lasers, particularly the red ones, don't burn a lot of energy. Just change the battery regularly and make a schedule on your phone or whatever to remind you and ding the thing and say, hey, change the batteries, and you can go change the batteries. The batteries are cheap. Otherwise, you could have it fail. That's true. Make sure that you have good solid night sights or some sort of way to shoot at night on your gun in case your laser fails. Don't rely solely on your laser for shooting. Let it be a tool that helps you when times are difficult or helps you use the kind of optional shooting, point shooting, over the top, that kind of stuff, that you wouldn't normally do on the range, and then practice those things on ranges where you're allowed to do it. The fact that the battery goes out is not a reason not to have a laser. If it were, people wouldn't have illuminated optics and all the other, they wouldn't have flashlights. So, people will have weapons-mounted lights and not complain about the fact that the battery dies, but they will complain about the laser. So I'm not sure I see those as valid complaints. They are true, but they're really not something to worry about in this instance. It's so easy to get around. Anyway, I hope this was helpful. Thank you, sir, very much for the support of the channel. Please share the videos and subscribe. And wherever you go, be safe. One question I get all the time is, what is your everyday carry, Joel? Okay, so I'm going to show you. First, obviously, you got to start off with a gun. Sometimes it's this one, sometimes it's my little 9mm. It just depends on what I'm wearing. And then, of course, obviously, you got to have a reload. So in this case, I got one speed loader. And then, sometimes guns run out of ammunition and you need to have something to fight with in case that happens. And so I generally carry a blade because I am a Filipino martial arts practitioner. And then, let's see, in case it's dark, I want to have a light. And then, of course, if I ever have to defend myself, obviously I got to call the cops, so I got to have a phone. Gee, I take that off, I think I lose 2 pounds. All right, here's the one part that people don't think about when it comes to their everyday carry that I also carry, and that is some coverage in case I have to defend myself. I've used second call defense since they started, actually. And there's a few things I really like about it. One is I've gotten to know the people who run it, own it, and started it. I have a lot of faith in them and their passion for defending lawful self-defense is over the top. They're very passionate about it. Yeah, they want to make money at it, I get it, but at the same time, I'd rather work with a company that wants to make money but also is passionate about what they do, and second call defense falls into that category. This also applies if I'm carrying the gun or I use it at home or whatever, and I have a family membership, so it covers my wife and it covers, you know what I mean? You get the whole deal, and the cost is relatively low. The coverage is outstanding. The other thing is that honestly, sometimes you don't have this, sometimes you don't have that. What you got is a baseball bat or a stick or a tire iron or whatever you happen to have handy, or as Sean Maloney from Second Call Defense is fond of saying, a bag of frozen squirrels out of the fridge or something. As long as it's something that's a legal object that you have, they're going to defend you if you use it to defend yourself. That's one of the things I love about this company. So I'm going to put a link in the description. Please do check them out. Second Call Defense.